Cool. This is going on YouTube, I guess. So hello YouTube as well. I'm not messing around with a Twitch, the funding of my music, and I want background music because I'm insecure. So
Fair
yeah,
enough, fair enough.
vote on YouTube. Anyway, right, power rankings. Let's look at them. Whoa, white screen. We are about to talk about week 6. We're about to discuss the games and what other things happened between the start of week 6 and the end of week 6, which hasn't happened yet. And we're going to rank the teams and say mean to not mean things progressively about them. Yeah, should we start? Should we do the thing?
Yep.
Wonderful. Right, on number 18, we have no choice but to have the Ill Eagles 0-6 record, 15-27 in sets, no change from the previous week. They had a rough matchup against We Bought a Zoo last week, as you can see. Tough 3-4 loss. I feel like they looked better than people expected, but there's always the Crocs versus Fritz meme match. But yeah, I think, they didn't look as bad as we're used to, so that's nice. That's a positive.
I mean, Bublo and Yenrad both got decent wins, although tragically in this day and age, I don't know how much a Moose win means.
Mm-hmm.
But then, in exchange, Tira suffered a rough loss, and Pranker suffered a rough loss. So it kind of evens out. Like, it's a shame, but this team just has not been able to put it together over the season. I think all of their players have underperformed. And like even when they are doing well, they can't seem to do it at the same times, and so they keep losing.
Yeah, I agree. And if you see the roster, I don't think that we have the same issue of previous bottom teams where everyone feels overseeded for the seed. I think they're just not getting the results that they're expected to get with the strength of their team. So yeah, it's been a rough
If you
one.
look at this team on paper, you're like, oh, this is a decent team, but then like it's just not happening. Like they're just not playing up to where one would expect.
Yeah, but at least I hope Tira gets a win this season. I hope Crocs keeps doing fun things because he can, and he's probably thriving in non-hard force meta stuff. Okay, and yeah, the rest of the team is just
Worth noting,
well.
this is 1 out of 2 teams that is officially eliminated from playoffs. Every other team technically has a chance.
Yeah.
As minuscule as it could be.
Although with the very, very recent results, we have one more team that is almost eliminated. And it's
Really?
not the team that you expect, yeah. Right, okay. Next up, we have the on number 17. Sadly, we have another eliminated team. We have John Bear's Culinary Cubs.
Yeah, you got it.
At 1-5, 17 in 25 in sets. They dropped one position because we do not have conclusive results from a different game of a different conference. This past week they had to go up against Pooh and Balls, and they had a close week. It was a 4-3. A bunch of close sets, a bunch of good performances, but ultimately they couldn't win, so they don't even have a mathematical chance of making the playoffs anymore.
Yep. Not too much to say about this team. Like another team where like you look and it's like if it doesn't feel like they should be this bad, but like even they've just got a lot of players who have disappointed, and even the players like Coke and Chum are like, according to at least some people, playing fine for their level. But at the end of the day, you have to win sets, and they just kind of haven't. The only bright spot on this team is that Hiru is currently like 6-0, but you can only get so much from that when half your team is doing terribly.
Yeah. I feel like at this point they should just try and secure a... Wait, the new matchups are out. I just didn't look at them. They should try to secure an easy...
come out this morning.
Yeah, they should try to secure an easy matchup for Hero just to have one win for the team. By the way, Spooky Troll, thank you for the subscription. And thank you for the gifted sub. Wow, thank you. I'm not streaming that often, so like feel free to not subscribe and not follow. But still, I appreciate everyone who does so. Back to the rankings. Yeah, I only watched the Coke game, in which I feel like he played really well, but he just didn't get the shops and the result that was necessary.
Yeah.
Interesting to see. I suppose we'll talk about Liko in the future, but that was another swing set that I felt could have gone differently. Like I would expect Jomber to take this one, but besides that, everything else looked pretty much as expected. Maybe Crouchy Cheese was going the other way, but like Poobold Shang
probably bet on Crouchy beforehand just because Cheese was 0-5, but like it's not that surprising.
Yeah, most of the things are like matchup dependent anyway. So yeah, tough season. I hope all of these people bounce back with a good team in the future. Right. Are we moving on? Are we?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Okay, on number 16 we have the Pack 1 haters. Technically not yet eliminated for the playoffs. They do have an outside chance of making it. They need a lot of things to break their way. They also need to finish their sets, but technically they're still in it. There's a mathematical way for them to make it through. This past week,
they just have to win all 9 of their remaining sets and have a variety of 4 different teams lose. You know, it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't even think it's all 9. They can afford to lose 2 in some situations. Really? Yeah,
that's a lot of leeway.
Yeah. The sad part is that they still have to play 2 more sets from this week, which on paper they don't look super favored. So far they're leading the week 6 set against Throwing for Content, but the remaining matchups are probably a little favored for Throwing for Content, but I'd gladly be proven wrong on my prediction. Equi got his first win, which we'll love to see. Yeah.
We can just be honest, Ruben has not won a set the entire season, and he's playing one of his toughest matchups yet. I don't think that one's going to happen.
Yeah.
Toxic beating Mirko, though, reasonably possible, although I would favor Mirko.
I agree. Besides that, really rough season for Agent Gore, and I don't know why, because I watched his set against Damon back in like week 2 and he looked super good. I don't know how the results are not there, but Wombat is also having a wonderful season, so yeah. Porter has been getting the results this season. Hop has been a true 50-50 this season. You cannot really predict what's going to happen, but like he goes up against Sub this week, which was a tough matchup. And then Snakes beating Sag was pretty impressive, even against random packs. Sag is a really strong opponent across the packs.
Yeah, not much to say about this team. They went all in on scaling, and then they just didn't really scale. Hop made a lot of like very aggressive reaches, and if they had worked, it would have been a pretty sick team. Unfortunately, pretty much every reach busted except for Snakes, and Snakes wasn't a reach to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Porter is doing okay, but unfortunately he's been thrust into a very awkward situation where he kind of has to be the 3 seed on this team, and he just wasn't quite ready for it.
Yeah.
Or I guess the 4 seed because Snakes has become a 3 seed, but even then, like, I don't know, that's not really what you originally draft. You were drafting Porter as like a prospect, but with how much certain people on the team have collapsed, you kind of need him to win immediately, which is just not quite reasonable to expect.
Yeah. Agreed. Moving on, we have at number 15, we have Lebensmüde, right? Correct pronunciation? Germans, please back me up.
Your guess is as good as mine.
2 in 4, 19 in 23, minus 6 positions from their previous one. Yeah, this past week looked really rough. They were going against a pretty good team in the Baku Baddies, but 6-1 was just not it, boss. Yeah, bunch of sets that were reasonably close, but ultimately losses. Really impressive win from Calby, like a straight up 4-0 against Anon. Pretty impressive. But yeah, the rest of the team just didn't get the results. Now, arguably, Amza was playing random packs, but still, like, Dayton is good enough to exploit that. Yeah, it's just not looking too great for this team, but they're great vibes, so we like them.
So this is not the team that is like basically eliminated. They technically still have an outside chance.
This is like with spoilers with Lula's game. This upcoming week, they are now banking on individual, like on game differential, like a bunch of ties in set counts, and then game differentials bailing them out. And that involves a lot of 7-0s. Yeah.
Alright, well, yeah, this team, we ranked them pretty highly last week because we thought their team looked pretty good across the board. Unfortunately, that did not happen this week. Just a ton of swing sets lost. Like, all of these sets to me looked like kind of winnable to heavily favored, and they just lost all of them. The one bright spot is Kelby, who's been having a great season, but unfortunately, he's stuck in the same position as Hiru, where like it's a team tournament and one person doing really well can only go so far.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, technically not eliminated. Practically, they have to win 3-0 a bunch and expect other teams to do things. Right, moving on. We go to number 14, Blue Team. They dropped 4 positions from last week. They have an identical record, given that this week 7 scores have not been accounted for yet. Again, close matchup. They looked like, I think going into the week, they looked pretty strong. Like, I don't think the previous week's position was unreasonable, but yeah, they just didn't get the results that they needed against the semi-Von team. What's the full name?
Hot single, or no, it's actually hot married Vons in your area.
Oh,
so you need to update this.
I need to update this,
acronym.
But I'm not going to do it because it's going to mess up the thing.
Gotcha. But yeah, this team, we ranked them pretty high last week because it looked like a lot of the questions they were having were finally answered. Like, it looked like Aaron was finally stepping into, like, returning to form. It looked like Rat Lover had finally gone over the hump of, okay, he can win sets and play to his potential in set. And then this week, it kind of all came crashing down. Aaron lost to Pakji in a pretty big upset. Like, even assuming Aaron is pretty washed, that's still a fairly big upset, I think.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. It's a tough tough loss. And then Rat Lover losing to Vaughn. Vaughn has been having a good season, but at the same time, you kind of need to win those.
Yeah. pretty fair. I suppose the Pack 2 matchup can be a little foreign to like returning players, but we're 6 weeks into the season.
Yeah,
can
like
be
I don't know. Part of the
played
role
around.
of the team is to get them prepped for that. So if they were not able to do that, or if Aaron wasn't able to learn that, that is a skill issue.
Yeah.
Worth noting that Chip finally got a solid win, but unfortunately a little too late
Yeah.
for this team.
Yeah. So yeah, Rec continues to do well, which is a bright spot, and they still have a chance that is, within the realms of possibility. Like it doesn't have to be an outlandish scenario. There's some ways in which the blue team can actually make it to the playoffs, but they need to depend on other teams getting results as well as winning their own. So yeah. Moving on to number 13, we have Throwing for Content. Record currently 2-3. There's still the Pack 1 hater set pending. They moved down one spot from last week because of the uncertainty and because of, not convincingly winning the technically weakest team in their division.
It's crazy to me that this team still has like not only a chance at playoffs, but like a fairly realistic chance at playoffs. They just have to win these 2 sets this week, which I feel like they are favored to do, and then they have to win the next week, and they've just got a reasonable chance.
Yeah, pretty much. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, they don't have to rely on that many tiebreakers. If they get like 4 weak wins, they still have to have things fall their way, but it's not unrealistic for them to do so. I feel like they had throughout the season, what carried them through is that 4 players at least have realistic chances of winning against like equal-ish seeds. You had Sub really doing great after his first week. Sag is really strong. Then Rev, after his first couple of weeks, he found his footing. Wombat has been incredible throughout the season. And then, Scooty kind of fell down the seeding, but now he can probably farm lower seeds. And America and Disney can still win a game against lower seeds. It's not an unexpected result if they don't. Also, they can be thrown.
Yeah, at the end
higher.
of the day, if you have 4 strong players who can win their sets, then you have a chance every week. And then it's not like you were saying, the other 3 are definitely able to win sets. Like not with as much consistency, but like they just genuinely have a solid chance every week, which is really not what I expected going into the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's nice to see that more packs are being viable. Like if not meta, they're just not completely throwing.
Yeah,
but completely
I think
content.
Pack 4 has ended up being much better than I expected preseason. Even Unicorn and Pack 3 aren't like auto losses like I previously thought.
Yeah. So yeah, this team, they do have to go against the blue team, I believe. Yeah. Like one of these teams is going to end the other one's dreams. I don't think they can both make it. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see. Moving on, at number 12, we have We Bought a Zoo. The first 3-3 team that we have, 21-21, perfectly balanced as all teams should be. Going up 3 spots from last week because they beat the worst team in the league, but like that's still good enough.
A win's a win.
Yeah, a win's a win. Honestly, the whole team is looking pretty good, apart from Moose, who has been having some tough results lately. Fritz's decision to do blindfolded games on while still having a chance to make playoffs is respectable, but probably not optimal.
If he genuinely thought he was favored, then it's respectable, but it looked like somewhat poor judgment.
Yeah. So yeah, Badger looked solid the whole season. Tocino getting a win is pretty important for them. Goose has been on the up and up. Canis getting a win was also good. So yeah, like overall throughout their seeding, I feel like they have a lot of strength, and you never know. Like Moose can become his old self in the playoffs, and they can just be scary again. So yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like this team is actually like quite strong top to bottom. Like I feel like all of their players, except a notable exception, are like good, average to good for their seeds. But that one player is he's not having a good season.
Yeah.
I really hope he can get it back together, but at this point it is week 7, and I'm not holding out much hope.
You never know. Like sometimes you don't need to be good throughout the regular season to get a ring. Cough cough.
Yeah, but like I don't know. That's why they're ranked so low. Like currently, there's just no realistic expectation that Moose can return to form. But if he does, this team suddenly becomes very scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, moving on. On number 11, cue the Shakira clip. I should have cued it. We have I Cry Eve team with a 2-3 currently record, 21-20. We still have a game pending from their game against Queen Mons. Which, as we learned earlier in the stream, it's going to happen this Saturday. So week 6 is going to last quite a bit, and it's a deciding thing. So not much movement, not much mobility was justified with this team. They looked pretty up and down this week. They had some surprise wins and some surprise losses, I think.
The big one's Nelson beating Knob, which is a pretty big upset.
Yeah.
Knob does seem to be having a rough time of things, but even so, like he's still Knob. It's still a great win.
Yeah.
And then also, Dirk beating Eggy is not necessarily like out of the question, but it's still just a good sign that Dirk continues to beat other low seeds.
Mm-hmm.
But in exchange, Booga losing to Cruiser, like him losing to Cruiser is not like that out of the question, but him getting 4-0'd by Cruiser is not a great sign.
Yeah. And then Bread, after a good couple of weeks, good couple of showings these past weeks, lost to Mia 3-0, which was surprising, but at the same time, like Mia has been showing promise for quite a bit now, and it's nice for her to get results. And then Rex versus Smurf is actually going to be a very interesting set, because Rex has been good this season apart from last week. So this is going to be really interesting, and the winner of this set is actually giving their team a huge boost in making playoffs. It's if they lose, they both teams, if they lose, they can make it. But it gets increasingly much harder for them to actually know if I Cry every team loses, do they still have chances?
I would assume so. Their tie breaks are pretty good, and they would be 2-4, like the other 2-4 teams.
Yes, but they're in the division in which it will have 3 4-2 teams.
You can make wildcard as the 4th place team if every other conference has like a bunch of 3 and 4 teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we kind of need to look into this. This is one of the teams that I didn't super look into. Their permutations, because there's a lot of them.
Of course.
Right.
Some things that haven't been noted yet.
Yeah.
Despite Brad and Gio both failing to take a set, take a game, I would argue the stock hasn't changed too much. Like I didn't see the Bread set, but like losing one set pretty badly to a higher seeded player is like not the end of the world. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like that changes my opinion on Brett's play much. And then if you watch the Violet Geo set, Geo's boards looked fine. He just kind of got high rolled on in 3 of the games.
Yeah.
Which if you have 2 good players and one of them hits, then that is just gonna happen sometimes. So I would actually. So that's why I think their stock is like has not changed too much despite some brutal losses.
Yeah, I agree. And so far they had some really good game differentials, so even these 3-0s don't really change their prospects all that much. And yeah, like Geo's play has been decent, even with the losses. Brad has been looking better since the season started, even with this loss. Owl keeps getting the wins, so you know it's still a good team. Like still pretty, not gonna say stacked, but like pretty competent throughout their seed range, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think this is the first team we've reviewed that just doesn't really have any particular holes, which is why they're above all these other teams.
Mm-hmm. Right, and now moving into the top 10, we have the Disciples. Is this how the word is pronounced? Disciples. Yes. The Disciples of Pooh and also Bowls. Another 3-3 teams. Another 21-21 team. Really balanced, but moving up 4 spots because they did have a pretty impressive display last week, in which they beat the Cubs 4-3, but they had their top seeds do pretty well, and their not quite, and their mid seeds also do pretty well. So a lot of encouraging results, a lot of encouraging play from this team. XP beating Coke on a Pack 2 mirror is super encouraging. He's looking like one of the strongest 2 seeds in the tournament. Pooh Balls beating Chum is also very encouraging. He's been getting the results that he's expected to get. Grouchy having a close set is also not that alarming. Non-left getting games against Hiru. Baconator with a good win.
Well, it's Mackins.
It's Mackins, but like Baconator has not had a great season so far. So yeah, just getting a win there is good. And Liko also doing bits lately. Looking good. Like this team is looking on form lately, and it's good.
Yeah, I think the big thing on why this team is ranked higher than people might expect is just that their wins this week are like very encouraging. Like Liko is continuing a trend of like very consistent, like beating other low seeds, and XP seems to have like fully found his footing. But then, meanwhile their losses are just like, well, Heroes and Cheese are both solid players. Like I'm not too concerned if Grouchy and Nunn lose like relatively close sets to them.
Yeah.
I feel like their stock overall still goes up this week. Like everyone on their team looks like they're playing okay. Like they have a pretty stacked roster at top. They have a pretty stacked roster at the top. I think this team is just in a good spot.
Yeah, I agree. It's looking pretty solid, and I believe they're no. I do not believe anything. I don't. Yeah. Never mind. They still depend on other teams doing stuff for them to make playoffs. They cannot just win their own set and make it, which is tough. Moving on to number 9. We have Studio Ghibli. Exactly the same record as a bunch of other teams. 3-3, 21-21. Moving up 2 spots from last week. They did lose the week, but they still looked pretty solid as they played against the Spoilers, best team in the league right now. I don't know what we're listening to. I apologize. I am going to go back to the instrumentals. Yeah. So yeah, Studio Ghibli. They have Kai. Kai wins sets. Ruihan has been has had a really impressive win against Sheepdog, who has been doing well as well in the tournament. Jezer bringing it really close with Tyler is super encouraging. Flip having a decent game against T-Disc as well, and yeah, having a solid season. Booty Gladiator versus Triple Ills might be a bit of an upset, but it's a close set. Gaps getting a win is encouraging, and then Dino versus Puxi, probably an unexpected loss, but still close.
I think this team's stock is like kind of up and down this week. On the one hand, Gaps being able to beat anyone is like great. And I think Buddha Gladiator, despite losing his set, looked fine. It's just Triple Eels is really, really good.
Noted.
But on the other hand, Dino didn't look so good against Spooksy, but then Ruihan 5 Cheap Talk. Like a little up and down, but that's enough to move up when other teams have like questions. At the end of the day, this team still looks pretty solid at the top, and then their bottom seeds are demonstrating that they can win sets. So seems like okay.
Yeah. So all 7 games were positive, but they're still this low? Yeah. Because we're kind of ranking.
Not what we said.
I'm trying to find positives on pretty much every team. I'm like the good cop of the of the thing, and we're kind of trying to justify the +2 from last week. They don't still, if the season ended now, they're out of the playoffs. So yeah, it's at this point of the season, maybe the form doesn't play as much of a factor as the ability to make playoffs, or like the conditions that they created for them to make playoffs. Right, moving on, or do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything.
Wonderful. Now, on 8, we have Hot Merit Vons in your area. Hello, whoever joined. With a 4-2, with the first team with a positive record, 23 in 19.
Best team, by the way.
Hello, Sammy. Best team at number 8. Currently one of the teams that do not even need the wildcard and do hold their own their qualification in their own hands. This past week they did have a pretty nice win against the blue team. Okay, goodbye, Sammy. We kind of talked about this week already, but like the Pacha win was pretty good. Pakia win. I'm not going to Americanize my pronunciation of my favorite yogurt player. Monkey being back on form looks pretty good for them. Vaughn just keeping his low seed beating streak going. Semi versus David was not an unreasonable loss, and like she's still pretty good for her seed, I think. This team just looks solid overall. They do have some questions with the Pac 2 midfield core, but I feel like for their seeding, their respective players are performing as you would expect them to, and then XRB is probably the best player in the world right now based on results. So yeah,
to me, this team, this is probably going to be one of the more controversial placements. People are probably wondering why this team is not higher. They do have a better set record than a decent number of the teams above them, but to me, this team just doesn't stand out to me that much. Like, they're like solid enough across the board, which puts them like in the middle, but I feel like there are still a lot of question marks on this team. I feel like ASF has had a pretty rough season. I think Pachi beating Aaron is good, but I still have my doubts over whether Pachi can win with any consistency. I don't know. I'm not a believer. And then otherwise their team looks like solid across the board, but like I don't know, it just doesn't stand out to me as like this team is a top team.
Yeah. Mostly agreed. I think if PACJ and ASF kind of hone in and optimize their Pack 2 gameplays, respectively, they can definitely do well against their seed range. It's a matchup that can cause a lot of upsets, as evidenced here, and they're both competent enough to like navigate the good and the high rolls, and not completely lose it on when the shops don't aid. So yeah, I'm probably a little higher on this team than the power rankings suggest, but like not by a great margin. So yeah,
I don't know.
It's a
I think this team is like a above average team. So yeah, that's where they put. They are above the halfway point.
They are definitely above average. On to number 7, we have Queen Mons Royal Guard, currently 3-2, with a game pending 20-21 in sets, which comparatively to the rest of the field is not looking great. Did they not change at all from last week? That's so interesting to me.
They did not. This is going to be the most controversial placement by far, probably. But I think this team is still a good team. They've had some rough losses, but I don't think those losses indicate a particular trend. Like, Violet and M-Gods are not going to go random packs every week.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And it's also good to see Cruiser getting, like, very consistent in the last couple of weeks. Then M-Gods had good showing against Owl. Eggy is a weird one to assess, but like lowering the seeds, it's fine. Mia getting a win is super encouraging. I think there's a lot of encouraging points on this team, and like Nob's recent form is not enough for me personally, and I think for all of the powerful rankers to to put them down all as much. And at the time, they still have their fate in their hands. If they win, they're in, pretty much.
So I think the big reason that our opinions on this team might differ from the public are two big things. For one, Nob has had a rough couple sets. He lost to Nelson, and he also lost to Anon the following week, but it's still like someone doesn't just go from like best player in the world discussion to he's completely washed in 2 sets. That's not how SAP works. Like, SAP is a very high variance game. A good player can losing like 2 close sets does not mean they're no longer a good player. So to us, there's not enough to say that Nob is like completely washed, so we can still consider him like a good player, like a valuable asset to the team.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
The other thing is that Eggy losing to Dirk, Eggy looked pretty bad, and so that might lower a lot of people's stocks. But if people have been watching Eggy's sets, to be honest, she hasn't looked that good this season. She's just been somehow pulling out wins. So to me, that doesn't really change my evaluation of the team that much.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Same thoughts here. Right. Should we move on? Does anybody want to vent in the chat? Hello, Ambo, by the way. Welcome in. Good messages. Nob seems to disagree with his own team's placement. That's fine.
People were asking what we think of Smurf Rex. I think Smurf is the slight favorite, but I think people are sleepy on Rex. Like, again, he had 1 bad week. That's not really enough for me to say, he's just washed now.
Yeah. I've seen Rex. Look, Rex is probably the only person who won a deciding game with a Wolverine. So, I rate Rex. But yeah, Smurf can definitely do it. So it's gonna be fun.
I don't know. I think Smurf looks quite good. I just think people are sleeping on Rex a bit, so I would only slightly favor Smurf.
Right. Okay. Next up, on number 6, we have Shell Shock. Also not changing. That's so interesting to me. With a 4-2 record, 22-20, coming off a very good week if I do say so myself, last week, in which they beat the Jigglers and put themselves pretty much in the playoffs. Like they are pretty much winning.
They've got good
and
odds.
in, yeah. Some close sets, some good upsets. Dune versus Ambo. Honestly, I did not watch the set, but I think Ambo is just this guy. I don't think Dune's play has declined, and he had his recent set versus Equi that looked really solid, so I don't think Dune's stock has changed whatsoever. Echo versus Damon, a 3-0, and apparently not a very encouraging one. It's kind of, not super encouraging, but if the rest of the team performs, they're kind of chilling. Casil is just, I feel like at this point, Casil is just super good for his seed range. He's having some comfortable wins. Pikes getting the upset win over Drazy was something I did not expect. It felt like, from Drazy's perspective that I was watching, it kind of felt like a bit of a high roll for Pikes, but at the same time, he navigated it well, and he did what he was supposed to do. Seth, I did not watch the game versus Flame, but like Flame is great, and maybe Chef hasn't studied all of the weird pack matchups. Month beating Cody is super encouraging for the team because he's been performing well and consistently, Sloth or not. And then SP beating me, yeah, it was good. I feel like I played well, but like SP is good and he also played well, probably better, and he won. So like throughout, like apart from the Echo set, I feel like the whole team looks pretty good.
So this team is most in chat complaining about why they are not ranked higher, and the reasoning is because I feel like none of these wins significantly change my opinion on the team except for Pikes versus Drazy. So it's a good win, but at the same time, it is only one win, where apparently Pikes hit pretty hard. Like, that's a good win. That definitely makes me a little more confident in Pikes, but that's just not... this team doesn't really significantly move the needle for me on this team. I feel like the teams that we placed above them are still pretty reasonable to say are better than this team up across the board. I feel like especially the big problems here on why this team is not moving up a bit is that Echo, he's good. Like, he's still a 1 seed level player, but he's just not quite showing what you would hope out of a player of Echo's pedigree.
Yeah.
And I also think Dune has just not quite lived up to expectations. He's just not having a great season.
Yeah, he did seem to have a bit of a resurgence in the previous couple of weeks. But then this week it just didn't continue the trend. So yeah, and besides that, I think this team's differential is actually what's kind of holding them a little bit back. If you see all of the teams above them, even if they have...
Well, except one notable exception.
Except one notable exception, yeah. Even if they have... Is there two? I think it's just one. Maybe I'm forgetting
there's one that's like very suspicious, and there's one that's like technically the set record isn't actually that good, but like their overall record is good. So I don't know. I think this is pretty reasonable.
Yeah. But yeah, like again, number 6 gets you comfortably into the playoffs, and I think at this point that's probably what most teams will be looking to secure. If you want to be top of the power rankings at the end of the regular season, good for you. But like, yeah, solid team. Don't get us wrong. I think this is a really strong team, top to bottom. They don't have any weak spots. Like Dune as a 7th seed is just really good. And Echo as a 1st seed.
To be honest, given the high standard this season.
Like the main thing would be to just go up against other 7 seeds and look at them.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think Dune is an above average 7 seed, to be honest.
I think he's an above
Like,
average.
there's just a lot of really good 7 seeds.
Fair enough. Right. Anyway, this is controversial, and we don't want this. So let's move on to number 5.
Hey, I don't care if people cancel me.
It's fine. I can kind of back you up. We have the Settlers of Khitan with a 4-2 record, 21-20. The one team that I was alluding to having the same-ish record with the team below them. They are pretty much on the same spot as Shellshock. They're in a division in which there's a bunch of teams that have good records, and they're kind of depending on differentials and like matchups stuff, matchup maximum optimization and stuff. They did have a rough week last week against the Slothsluts, in which a lot of close sets could have gone either way, but they went the other way. But overall, I think they look very solid throughout their seed range, especially the low seeds look super impressive. And yeah, I think this team is just still good enough and likely making playoffs, so they deserve to be there, I think.
Before, I see a lot of people whining about bias. I think I'm actually lower on my team than the other TOs are. But anyway, look at the screen. Yes, we lost the week. We lost 4 last game sets. If we win any of those sets, we're not having this conversation right now. You guys know how SAP is. Like, one game doesn't really mean that much.
Yeah.
I feel like our team, top to bottom, is still just extremely strong. We just don't quite have the set wins.
Yeah. That said, there's been quite a few strong teams that just cannot get results in the team tour. I don't think that this team is one of them. They can still do it. It's just that on this instance they didn't. Team, especially beating X-Ray, is super encouraging. I'm very high on X-Ray lately. And then Improv bringing it really close with Light. Was it random sets? Random games?
No, it was all Pack 1v4.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Improv's boards looked a little suspicious in the one game I saw, but at the end of the day, you can only glean so much by looking at people's boards, and so Game 7 against the clear best 2 seed, probably just a 1 seed on like half the teams, is like pretty good.
Yeah. And then you versus Honored. Tough loss, but not completely unexpected. Bath versus
like, I don't know, it's a top level SAP set. Both players are good. Went to game 7. Like, I feel like the outcome barely changes anything.
Yeah.
Like, me and Oned, it just indicates that me and Oned are like pretty close in skill.
Yeah. Bath playing up against an undefeated player and making it close, also pretty encouraging, although I think from your perspective it didn't feel like this.
I would say Bath's play looked kind of sus, but at the end of the day, still a close set.
Yeah. And then Oscar hasn't played yet. Khitan looking a little better each week, but still not getting the results, which is a little alarming. And then apparently Ernie didn't have a great game, but he still managed to win against Sincere, so that's
I mean, he still won, but dropping any games to Sincere is a bit concerning.
Yeah. So yeah, if anybody wants to switch the 2 teams around, I have no issues with that. Like no qualms whatsoever. But I feel like as it currently stands, like if these 2 teams played each other, honestly I don't know. Like they should probably both be at 5. Let's be very diplomatic and Switzerland-ish about it.
Nah, fuck diplomacy. If you look at these 2 teams, you look at each player, I feel like my team is just better across the board. I feel like anyone who like disagrees super strongly is just blindly looking at results and not actual play.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it. Oh no, please don't tell me I messed it up. Anyway, number 4, we have the Baku Baddies. 4-2 record, 27-15. Very, very impressive win. Very, very impressive record. We'll look at it later, but it's one of the teams that are pretty much guaranteed playoffs. Yeah, they had a super strong week against Lebensmüde with all of their squad apart from Anon, who I believe was just switching packs because his set didn't matter that much. Like, the whole team throughout the board looked really strong. They got their swing set wins, they got their upset wins, they got pretty much everything this last week, and they've been looking really strong for the past couple of weeks. Just a really good team. Arguably could have been higher up, but the on paper strength of this team probably still doesn't justify that, but maybe this will change within the next week. So yeah.
This one was really close. I think it's like inarguable that this team and the 3 teams above them are like a tier above the rest of the teams. But I don't know. We just didn't quite see enough to put them above the other teams for now. But this team is very, very strong across the board. You look at their team, I don't think there's a single weak spot at any position. FBL has done his usual FBL thing of like tanking his draft stock for the first half of the season before deciding I'm going to be a good player again.
Yeah. His performance
Joko,
is
I think, is a very, very good 7 seed.
Yeah.
Like, just across the board, this team is really strong. But the problem is that can be said for all 3 of the teams above them too, and we just didn't quite see enough to put them above.
Yeah. Is Joko still playing Pack 4 in sets?
To my knowledge, yes. I think he's
nice. That's impressive.
I think that's just very good at the low seed level. I think like it's gonna be pretty hard for lower seeds to adapt to different matchups.
Yeah, I agree. Another notable win. I'm sorry, I said the German word well, and then I'm going to say this, but like Banana beating Hedges is also super encouraging. I feel like on paper, Banana was kind of doubted as a 2 seed, but he's been getting results and he's been doing the thing. So, like, I think throughout every seed, they have good players, not even like on par with the field. They can probably be considered above the field.
Yep, I am inclined to agree. Just no real. I guess the one thing is that Anon has been having somewhat of a rough go of things lately, but it's still Anon. Like,
yeah. Also,
I'd be hard pressed to say that he's a weak 1 seed. He's still a good player.
We're not supposed to factor in next week, but he also had a really good win after his tough loss. Right, number 3. Fall from Grace. First time out of the top 2. Stick out your gyat for the Jigglers. 4-2 record, 25-17, which I feel like is what keeps them in their conference and in their position higher than a bunch of the teams below them. Not looking as convincing anymore. Damon is the consistent bright spot of the team, doing pretty much what a good 1 seed is supposed to do, just winning the games. Besides that, Ambo has had a really good few last weeks, big resurgence from Ambo. And then the rest of the team, Flame is doing really well. He's been getting better on every pack. He's a really good player. I feel like if he didn't have the pack nerf, he would be insanely underseeded, but even still, people don't know all of the matchups, and this is exploitable, so it's looking really good for him at the 5 seed. Dre had a tough loss, had excuses for them, like between the shops and the food poisoning and all that kind of stuff. it's understandable that he doesn't maintain his perfect record. Cotty played really well until he decided to not play really well. And so did I. So like I suppose the weak spots are kind of us too. But I don't feel that bad about my play, and I feel like if Cotty locks in, he can still be super good at his seed range. So yeah, this week was unfortunate, entirely winnable. We didn't win it, so we deserve to move down. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Jiggy's our weak spot right now? Yeah, sadly, yes. And I believe that it's a mental thing, it's not even a gameplay thing. Like his first 2 games looked good, and then he kind of checked out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably going to question why this team was not put below the Baku baddies given how the week went, but at the end of the day, it's a long season. I think 1 week's results can only mean so much at this point. Like, I think 1 set does not typically make or break a player. Like, a lot of people are going to be reactionary and be like, oh, Drazy isn't actually that good. He lost to Pikes. And that would lower their stock. But at the end of the day, it's 1 set. Like, I think if you look at the Jigglers versus the Baku baddies across the board, I think they're still just a slightly stronger team on paper.
Noted. Wait, you cannot hear Koto? Is this completely scuffed? Has he been?
I'm pretty sure other people have. People were definitely complaining about what I was saying about my team, so I think Dre is trolling.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I agree though. I don't know. Like I don't. I feel like our team has regressed. I feel like we expected our team to regress. We were just way too good out of the box. The scaling was not there, and the 2 people who, like Drazy was already cracked when drafted, and then the 2 people who we expected to scale to become like a well-rounded team have done so. Flame has gone leaps and bounds. He's been incredible lately, and Ambo has been really, really competent and just managing to beat his. I don't know. I'm still high on Dune, and I'm high on Rex, so I think his competition was good, and he's been performing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I largely agree.
Yeah, and it's another one of the teams which actually we're not super safe if we don't win next week. The record is good, but it's not a guarantee that we make playoffs if we don't win our set. So yeah. On to number 2, we have Sloth Sluts 2, Sloppy Seconds, big alliteration team. 5-1, 22 in 19. The set record is looking not ideal, but the actual week record is incredible, and it guarantees them playoff. So, congrats.
I think the thing with with like high team record but then low set record is that indicates good matchup planning. Like, your goal is to win each week. You're not trying to, like, obviously you'd like to win as many sets as possible, but your goal is to win each week. So especially on a team that has Sincere on it, you're not going to have quite as high of a set count as other teams, but if you manage your matchups well, you will still do well in like team record wise.
Yeah.
So I feel like their set record is less bad than it might look at first glance.
Yeah. So yeah, they had a pretty close win last week. I would argue that they have clear. Is it clear? Yeah, I think it's clear. I think they have clearly the strongest top 2 in the league right now.
Oh yeah, it's like very obviously the strongest top 2. I think Light would be a 1 seed on half the teams.
Yeah. And then Slop continues his unbeaten record. I actually thought that this was going to be a detriment to his team, as he was kind of trying to protect it with his matchups, I think. when they played you.
Yeah, I discussed with Light afterwards, and apparently both of us really wanted Bav versus Slop, because Slop was like, I can win this one, and I really, really want Oscar versus Poe, which leaves Bav as the only person to play Slop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, besides that, Sincere winning games is encouraging. Like even him being able to compete with 7 seeds is encouraging. This guy getting a win, pretty encouraging as well. X-Ry's loss is kind of surprising. We know Team is really good, but like I still feel like X-Ray is I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel like X-Ray is the good player threshold. If you can beat X-Ray, you're good at the game. Which is probably reflected.
He's definitely in that like skill range where like he's a like solid gatekeeping player. He will beat most players who are worse than him. He will also not make that many upsets.
Yeah. So yeah, good team. They guaranteed playoffs. I believe they guaranteed first in their. No, they didn't because their set count is not.
Bakubai is a way better set count, so this loss let's lose this week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they're in your division. Never mind. Yeah. So true. And then on number 1, drum roll. Wait, I have the funny pictures and stuff, but I'll put them on later. And then on number 1, we have TD's Nuts. 5-1, 27-15, going up a spot, reclaiming the first spot. They actually looked a little shaky this last week.
Yeah, this team definitely isn't the super team that we thought they might be, but I feel like they're still just better enough than the rest of the field where there's just no argument.
Yeah.
That they should be number 1.
Every player on their team is performing super well, apart from Pumpkin maybe.
That's not a maybe. Pumpkin is 1 in 5, and he lost the gaps.
Yeah. So yeah, Spooksy, good win, very good win actually. Is he's the 7th seed, right?
He is their 7th seed. Realistically, he's probably their 6th seed ahead of Pumpkin.
Yeah.
I was told by Spooks. I was explicitly asked by Spooksy to not be mean to him this week, as apparently I've been mean to him every other week. So I will say, he looked good in his set. Like he definitely made some mistakes, but like he is a low seed. You're not expecting your low seeds to play perfectly unless they're Tim.
Yeah.
And so very good to like be able to get the win in a really important set for his team. And even like getting high rolled on. I will say Dino hit double monkey on 7 in 3 of the games. Of the 5 games. So yeah, a good performance by Spooksy. Encouraging for the future for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Pumpkin, I've played Pumpkin a lot, like in season 3 and 4. And he was really good at the game. So this can always just come back if he finds the motivation to do it. Like I don't think that the skill ever goes away. But maybe like the mental and the meta knowledge isn't there right now. Rough loss to gaps, but you know he can move on. Triple Eels. I didn't watch this week's set, but I watched the previous week, and he looked super competent. He was.
I watched the set. I think he's insanely good. I think he would be like a 4 seed on a lot of teams, maybe even a 3 seed on some teams.
Yeah.
He's just like has really, really good understanding of the game. He was like out positioning like every turn. It was crazy.
Yeah. He's not very PG friendly though, from what I've seen.
He's definitely like a quiet rager, which is really funny. He's like saying a bunch of like really aggressive stuff, but it's like very calmly, which is really, really funny.
Yeah. T-Disc. He did not show up for the power ranking, so he's just like bad. Lucky win against Flip, we move. Sheep Talk, not the greatest result. It's obviously Ruihan on the other side, but like 5-0 is kind of rough, and I feel like Sheepdog has been playing really well this season so far. I feel like Bert had one really close game against Kai, so like the 3-0 is not super representative of what happened in the game. He definitely competed in 2 of the games. And then I didn't watch the Tyler set, but apparently on a game he didn't feel like he played well. He won, so that's all you need from your high seeds. So yeah, good team, super solid, not much to add. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an incredibly stacked team, top to, well, second to bottom.
Yeah.
Seems to be a recurring theme that you can have one weak spot, but if the rest of your team is good enough, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe this actually helps with matchups, like conspiracy theory. If you have someone who you feel like you can throw somewhere, then the rest of the matchups kind of solve themselves.
Yeah, I could see the argument.
Yeah. Right, okay. And this will probably do it for the power rankings, unless anyone has anything to add. Let us know your thoughts in the chat and in the comments below, because I was not reading it. I don't have enough brain cells to do all of this.
Chat, remember, direct all of your complaints to Tyler, not me.
Yeah, like Tyler is obviously rigging this to be on the highest spot, so you know that's how it be sometimes. Right. Thank you again, Markoto, for joining us. I feel like we can continue doing like some blabbering about Team 2.
Yeah, if you want to do the playoff stuff now, I've still got like 25 minutes or so.
Right. Okay. I didn't change the placement of teams. This is irrelevant. I don't really care. So I was trying to go through the standings, the results, the everythings, and see if people have, if teams have made playoffs. And what I can share with you is that TD's Nuts, Sloth Sluts, and Baku Baddies, with a very small asterisk, have made playoffs. We also have some incredible graphics to display this. If I can share with the class. There it is. We found it. So yeah, we need to congratulate TD's Nuts for making playoffs. Philippines is proud of you. We need to congratulate this is so scuffed.
It's fine to me.
Nice. We need to congratulate the Baku Baddies and the Sloth Sluts 2, Sloppy Second Sister Statistic, for making playoffs. Philippines is proud of you. And we also need to commiserate Ill Eagles and John Bear's Culinary Cubs for not making playoffs. Sad face. Philippines is proud of you.
Are they?
They're proud because they did their best and they provided good vibes to the community. And yeah, 07s in the chat, sad faces, commiserations. So yeah, instead of doing like power rankings, I was doing this kind of shit. Cool. And then playoff picture stuff. We have TD's Nuts, Sloth Sluts, and Baku Baddies just guaranteeing playoffs.
Well, technically.
Technically, Baku Baddies can miss out on playoffs if they lose their remaining 5 sets against Queen Mounts, and also if the Settlers of Khitan beat the Jigglers 7-0, and there's another 7-0 that needs to happen that I didn't. And they also need Shell Shock to beat Sloth Slut 7-0. So like this, if this happens, they might miss out on game differential. So mathematically, they can miss out, but they cannot, realistically.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Besides that, we have... is there any way for 2 teams to have better tiebreakers than you? No. The only... You can have this... Actually, no. Yeah, the tiebreakers can be as good, because Shell Shock and then Queen Mons can have... No, wait. Queen Mons is out.
No, Queen Mons can't get there.
They cannot get there.
Shell Shock.
It is Shell Shock and you and Settlers of Khitan, who are 29 in 20, and then the game counts can sometimes get them out of them.
But if my team is 29-20, aren't we out of the wild card then? Because then we would be top 2 in our conference.
With Sloth Sluts being there? Actually, yeah, true. That's very true. Okay, so they're in. You're right.
Yeah, okay.
No asterisk, yeah. Good. No, I suppose Hot Merit Vons will be in there. Then 21 losses for Vibli, 21 for Pooh Balls. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Baku Buddies are in. Nice, good math. And then I did the whole teams they like, in which if any of these teams win, your chances of making playoffs are exponentially better. Best possible and worst possible records was something that I was going to calculate, but I was just kind of too busy making memes and stuff. Teams that can win their set and automatically be in playoffs are the Jigglers. Settlers of Khitan actually guarantee playoffs with a win. Even if they do not make it into the top 2 of their division, if they win, they have good tiebreakers against... They have a good set tiebreaker against every other team that could steal a wildcard spot. And also this happens because one of the team that they face is also a team that competes for this wildcard spot. In this situation, Shell Shock, I believe if they win, they just make playoffs as well. I
mean, 5-2 has just always makes it. I don't feel like we need to actually do the math.
Yeah. I believe that the only 5-2. Yeah, 5-2 always makes it. You're right. Queen Mons need to win 2 games, but they can still make it. It's in their hands. Hot Mary Vons also, if they win, they're in. And if they don't win, they depend on one of the other teams to still make it comfortably in as the number 2 on their division, conference, whatever it is. And then the interesting part is Studio Vibli and Disciples of Pooh and Also Balls do not have their playoff chances in their own hands. But a loss for one of the other teams makes them pretty likely to sneak in. Ideally for them, they need the Vons to lose so that they can sneak in as a 2 seed. However, their set record is not ideal. But again, if you win, you at least get a 2-set advantage against the team that lost the week, so it's not as far as it looks. Basically, any team that does not have a realistic, like a chance of making it themselves by winning, should support the Baku Baddies because they are the team with a non-guaranteed playoff spot. Like they're competing for a wildcard spot, but they have by far the best differential. So getting this differential out of the wildcard pool increases your chances a lot.
Yeah, intuitively, if you are playing for wildcard, you want all the teams that can't make playoffs anyway to win, such as the Eagles, and you want all the teams that are not competing for the wildcard to win. So the Baku Baddies, who will likely be the second in conference.
Yeah. I Cry Every Team is an interesting one because they do have one of the better differentials, and if they manage to win their week 6, they still need other things to happen for them to get there, as a 4-3 record is not guaranteed. Shell Shock and Queen Mons and us can have a 4-3 with a better set differential. It's not out of the possibility. So even if they win week 6, they still depend on all the things happening week 7. And there's an interesting inter-group dynamic. Like all of the Goofy Conference wants the teams from the Mickey Mouse Conference to win, and vice versa. Like the games that matter from the Mickey Mouse and Goofy inter-conference games are pretty important. Whereas it doesn't feel as tense in the Donald Duck Conference because Studio Ghibli and Pooh and Balls play against the Pac-Man haters and the illegals, which should be an easier matchup for both teams, but you never know. Like last week, just because the teams didn't have the greatest season so far doesn't mean that they're just straight up bad. So yeah, we could do some more research onto this. I can probably just give this talk to the public, but I feel like it's going to be outdated and decided in like a couple of days. So yeah.
I'm gonna go prep for my job interview. Thank you for having me on. Just remember, whenever you get this published to either YouTube or Twitch, just send me the VOD so I can put it in the announcement.
Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you for joining us. Best of luck with the job interview. I hope you get the job and get really rich and not stop completely streaming.
Yeah, I'll see you.
All right, see you in a bit. Cool. The Goofy Conference was a bloodbath. The Goofy Conference was truly one of the conferences of all time. It is arguably, is it the only conference that can have 4 teams? No. We Bought a Zoo in the Mickey Mouse Conference can also have a realistic chance of having 4 wins. Yeah, I feel like we did not expect Throwing for Content to be that strong, and then Pac-1 haters it's almost scaled in time, but not quite. They still have a chance, by the way. Like even at 1 in 4, I have not worked out the permutation just yet, but they still have a chance of making it into the playoffs. It's not completely out of their reach right now. But they need pretty much all of the Mickey Mouse Conference to get there. They need to not drop a singular other set, as I feel like 24 set losses is the threshold for a wildcard spot. It's really tough. I don't think they can make it realistically, but yeah. If the season were 10 games long, you'd be top 5. I agree, yeah. So yeah, like if Pac-1 haters beat is it Studio Ghibli or Pooh and Balls? It's the same thing. Like the green teams are pretty much doing the same thing. They go 3 in 4, and also if they beat Throwing for Content, keeping their 24 on there is pretty important because it allows them to overtake a every team, Wibbly, Poo and Balls. Can I just scroll out of the thing? Yes. 24 is I don't know. I feel like 24 was important. They could stay at 24 losses and do the thing. If Kitan loses a set, they're at least on 24 set losses. So yeah, having a positive set differential can get them there with game differential sometimes, but it's just not really happening. Mickey Mouse Conference has the most colorful teams. Yeah. Although that might be the illusion of it because they have the white team on the edge, whereas these teams have the less saturated teams in the middle, the Donald Duck Conference, and then this conference has all of the green teams. So yeah. Cool. Anything else? Anything else you want to do? Anything else you want to say? Let's discuss with me. Let me know your thoughts. Would anyone be interested in some spreadsheets about Team Tour? I have a lot of time this week and live for stats. Just hit me up with what you like to see. I would absolutely love to see this. Venus, hello, welcome in. 47 people in here. Wow, that's amazing. VOD review from Fluffo's Pokemon Championship? Absolutely. If Fluffo consents, absolutely. Violet, what are my odds of being a captain next season? 97.5%, I would say. I think your performances and your attitude this season, like if you want to be a captain, you will be a captain next season. Let's play test server. We can do that. I'm not super feeling it, but like sure. How much data do you have? Statistically, best pack would be cool, but I don't think these stats are out there. Okay, so I will put it to the public. Do you want to do pack 3 lobbies in the test server, or are we not doing this thing? Also, what are we listening to? I want like Home the different artist, the synth pop stuff. Send me something through DM if you really want it, so I remember. Okay. I mean, if you want to do my job for me, I'm trying to run. I'm not really trying to run lobbies. I'm probably trying to end stream, to be honest, because I did my thing. But if you want to stick around and play, you can. At this point, I should probably just stop the recording to have my YouTube export out.